Nepal, a landlocked nation nestled in the Himalayas, is renowned for its breathtaking landscapes and vibrant culture. However, a shadow has recently been cast over this picturesque nation. In a significant development, the Financial Action Task Force, or FATF, added Nepal to its gray list in February 2025. This decision, announced during the FATF plenary meeting in Paris, has sent ripples of concern throughout the Nepalese economy and beyond. The FATF, an intergovernmental organization established to combat money laundering and terrorist financing, maintains a list of countries with strategic deficiencies in their AML-CFT frameworks. Being added to this list, even if only provisionally, carries significant implications for a country's financial reputation and economic prospects. The FATF's decision to gray-list Nepal stems from concerns over the country's inadequate measures to combat money laundering and terrorist financing. Despite some legislative progress, Nepal has struggled to effectively implement its AML-CFT framework, leaving loopholes that could be exploited by criminal elements. This lack of effective implementation, coupled with weaknesses in enforcement, investigation, and prosecution of financial crimes, has ultimately led to Nepal's inclusion on the infamous list. The consequences of this listing are far-reaching, impacting various sectors of the Nepalese economy and potentially hindering its growth trajectory. As the nation grapples with this new challenge, the path ahead demands decisive action, robust reforms, and unwavering commitment to strengthen its AML-CFT regime. The FATF's decision to gray-list Nepal didn't emerge from a vacuum. It is the culmination of a series of shortcomings in Nepal's efforts to combat money laundering and terrorist financing. These deficiencies, identified through rigorous evaluations by the FATF and its regional partner, the Asia-Pacific Group on Money Laundering, paint a concerning picture of Nepal's vulnerability to financial crimes. One of the critical areas of concern is the inadequate regulation of high-risk sectors, particularly cooperatives and real estate. These sectors, often characterized by complex ownership structures and limited oversight, can be easily exploited for money laundering and illicit financial flows. Despite warnings from the APG and the central bank, Nepal has struggled to implement comprehensive regulations and oversight mechanisms for these sectors, leaving them susceptible to exploitation. Furthermore, Nepal's law enforcement agencies face significant challenges in effectively investigating and prosecuting financial crimes. Limited resources, inadequate training, and a lack of coordination among different agencies hamper their ability to effectively tackle sophisticated financial crime networks. This lack of effective enforcement creates an environment of impunity, emboldening criminals and undermining the integrity of Nepal's financial system. Adding to these challenges is the issue of political instability and corruption, which often hinders policy enforcement and creates opportunities for illicit financial activities. The FATF, in its assessment, has expressed concerns over the influence of political figures and their potential involvement in money laundering schemes. This nexus between politics and financial crime poses a significant hurdle for Nepal in its fight against money laundering and terrorist financing. Nepal's failure to meet the FATF's standards, despite repeated warnings and several granted extensions, underscores the deep-rooted nature of these challenges. Addressing these deficiencies requires a multi-pronged approach, involving legislative reforms, institutional strengthening, capacity building, and a firm commitment to tackling corruption and upholding the rule of law. Nepal's recent gray listing is not its first encounter with the FATF's scrutiny. In a sobering reminder of its vulnerability to financial crimes, Nepal was previously placed on the FATF gray list from 2008 to 2014. This earlier listing, stemming from similar concerns about inadequate AML-CFT measures, exposed the fragility of Nepal's financial system and the urgent need for comprehensive reforms. Following its 2008 gray listing, Nepal embarked on a series of reforms, amending its AML Act and taking steps to improve its AML-CFT framework. These efforts, while commendable, proved insufficient in the long run. The current gray listing, therefore, underscores a relapse in effective implementation and a failure to sustain the momentum of previous reforms. The cyclical nature of Nepal's struggle with AML-CFT compliance highlights a critical issue: the need for sustainable and deep-rooted reforms. While legislative changes are important, they are only the first step. Effective implementation, consistent enforcement, and continuous capacity building are crucial to ensuring long-term compliance and mitigating the risk of future gray listing. This second gray listing serves as a stark reminder of the persistent challenges Nepal faces in safeguarding its financial system from criminal exploitation. It also underscores the importance of learning from past mistakes. The road ahead for Nepal, following its gray listing, is fraught with challenges. The country must navigate a complex landscape of regulatory reforms, institutional strengthening, and capacity building, all while grappling with limited resources and political complexities. The immediate priority for Nepal is to develop and implement a comprehensive action plan to address the deficiencies identified by the FATF. This plan, subject to quarterly reviews, will outline specific steps and timelines for strengthening Nepal's AML-CFT regime. Successfully implementing this action plan within the stipulated time frame is crucial to demonstrating Nepal's commitment to reform and paving the way for its removal from the gray list. However, the path to reform is not without its hurdles. Limited resources, both financial and human, pose a significant constraint. Implementing robust AML-CFT measures requires substantial investment in technology, training, and specialized expertise, resources that are often scarce in developing countries like Nepal. Additionally, deeply ingrained corruption, bureaucratic inefficiencies, and a lack of political will can further hinder progress and undermine reform efforts. Despite these challenges, there is a glimmer of hope. Nepal's government has expressed its commitment to addressing the FATF's concerns and working towards exiting the gray list. Finance Minister Bishnu Paudel, in response to the gray listing, vowed to take all necessary steps to strengthen Nepal's AML-CFT framework. This commitment, if translated into concrete action, could be instrumental in steering Nepal towards a more secure and resilient financial future. Nepal's journey back to financial legitimacy will be arduous and demanding. It requires sustained effort, unwavering political will, and a comprehensive approach that addresses not only the symptoms but also the root causes of its AML-CFT deficiencies. The international community too has a role to play in supporting Nepal's efforts by providing technical assistance, capacity building, and fostering an environment conducive to reform. The stakes are high, but with resolute action and a commitment to reform, Nepal can navigate this challenging terrain and emerge stronger, safeguarding its economy and its future from the shadow of financial crime.